Hey guys, Frostyworgz here. Today we're going to talk about the viability of Holy Priests in PvP with patch 7.1.5 coming up. There's a lot of good changes and we're just going to dive right into those. So let's take a look at what we got. Alright, here's a look at our overall talent tree. There's a few changes here that I'd like to talk about before we get into the PvP changes because they do affect us in PvP. Now there was a lot of changes overall to priests, especially holy in general. However, the only things I'm going to be talking about today are things that affect PvP gameplay. Here's a look at our new talents. The only real change that we have here is our level 30 talents. Now the third slot there, you see Perseverance. Now that took the spot of Desperate Prayer, which we now have baseline, which is pretty darn cool. Obviously, for people that don't know or would like to know, Desperate Prayer is heals you for 30% of your maximum health, increases your maximum health by 30%, decreasing by 2% every second. Having that baseline is real nice just because it was pretty an underwhelming talent row anyways. Angelic Feather only being 40% now is kind of meh. I mean, I like feathers, but that's how it goes. Body and Mind has a really weak heal attached to a speed boost, so that's also kind of meh. I mean, Perseverance though is actually a really nice talent that they're adding. As you can see here, when you cast Renew on yourself, it reduces all damage you take by 10%. Okay, a passive 10% damage reduction is really nice. You cannot complain about that, especially the fact that you get to keep what you used to have to take. So not only do we get Desperate Prayer baseline, we get that 10% damage reduction if we have a Renew rolling on ourselves, which most of the time we will, I'm sure. So as far as the rest of the talents, there's a few changes here and there. However, I don't think any of them are game breaking or worth mentioning for PvP, so we're just going to move on to the PvP or honor talents. Alright, so the first change we're going to look at here is in row 4. The first talent there, Delivered from Evil. So it used to be Leap of Faith removes all movement impairing effects and grants an absorption shield equal to 20% of their maximum health. However, the new one is reduces the cooldown of Leap of Faith by 60 seconds, and Leap of Faith also removes all movement impairing effects. Alright, so Leap of Faith currently as it sits for Holy is a 1.5 minute cooldown. Using this ability actually reduces it down to 30 seconds. So that's pretty strong in itself. However, it is competing in row 4 against Greater Fade, which we'll talk about in a minute, which I think is going to shadow this one pretty heavily. Next thing we're going to be talking about here is talent row 6, the first one there, Divine Attendant. Currently is a reduction in the cooldown of Guardian Spirit by 60%, but the duration is reduced to 3 seconds. What it's changing to is a reduction of the cooldown of Guardian Spirit by 2 minutes flat. So as it sits right now, Guardian Spirit is a 4-minute cooldown, so this 2-minute reduction would bring it down obviously to 2 minutes, so cutting it in half, which makes it fairly competitive. In my opinion, it's going to be between this or Ray of Hope, which I'll also talk about in a moment. Next, I want to look at talent row 5. The first talent there, as you can see, has been replaced. They removed Faith Renewed, which was our Renew instantly heals for 50% more when cast, an additional 15% over time. Renew heals for garbage anyway, so that's fine by me. They replaced it with an amazing new talent called Miracle Worker. It gives Holy Word Serenity 2 charges. So they also changed the baseline text of that spell to charges instead of 1 minute cooldown. Since now it has charges or the possibility of having charges, there is a 1 minute recharge time. Next up on the list is the bread and butter of the spec. What is going to make Holy Priest great again? Row 4, Talent 3, Greater Fade. So let's take a look at what it is now. Fade Out, removing all threat, increasing your movement speed by 50% and causing the next 3 melee attacks to be dodged. Alright, that's excellent in a melee heavy meta. However, what it's changing to is Fade Out, removing all threat, increasing your movement speed by 100% and causing all melee, ranged, and spells to miss you. Last 6 seconds on a 30-second cooldown. Are you kidding? That's like giving Holy Priest an ice block. Like, that is absolutely 100% amazing. That makes me want to replace all of my buttons on my bars with Greater Fade, because who needs anything else, right? So anyways, moving on. The next thing we're going to talk about is greater heal. It used to increase your heal by 200% and the mana cost was increased by 30%. However, now your heal causes inspiration, which is a buff on your target that you're healing, increasing their maximum health by 10% for 15 seconds, and this stacks up to 2 times. So you get a bit of shaman play style if you use heal, which, are you going to get that off or not? Who knows? I mean, you can use inner focus to get that heal off, so you could at least get the 10% off of that. If you're lucky enough to get 2 off in a 15-second period, you're going to increase your target's health by 20%, which is pretty significant. So that is a nice change. However, I don't think that's going to be used over Miracle Worker because Miracle Worker is just so strong. Next, I want to talk a little bit about some smaller changes that we have. In row 3, the last talent, Holy Ward, got a cooldown reduction. It was 45 seconds, it's now down to 30. And what that is it wards a friendly target against the next full loss of control effect. So whether you use it on your allies or yourself, you see a fear coming into you, you see a sheep coming into you, you can ward yourself before it hits and become immune, which is great. However, I don't think that's going to be used, over double dispel or unlimited dispel. But I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. It might be a good thing to be able to avoid that CC, depending on how the Holy Priest winds up needing to be played. The next little change we have is in row 5 with Rapid Mending. The way it sits is makes Prayer of Mending instant cast. So for all you OG priests like me, remember, Prayer of Mending used to be instant cast, and you can play like you did before again, of course, which you can do right now. However, the new change is the jump range is increased by 20 yards as well. So it brings it up to a full 40 yards. It's good. However, again, this is going against Miracle Worker, so I don't really think this is going to get much play. So last talent I want to look at is our honor level 46 talent, Ray of Hope. Basically what that's getting is a reduction in its cooldown from 1 minute down to 45 seconds. There's nothing changing about the actual spell, which is still very strong in my mind. For the next 6 seconds, all damage and healing dealt to your target is delayed until Ray of Hope ends. All healing that is delayed by Ray of Hope is increased by 100%. So basically, the healing is able to negate the damage coming in. For example, during that 6 seconds, let's say you take 1,000,000 damage and you heal them also for 1,200,000. When that effect ends, they're going to be healed for 200,000 from wherever they're sitting. So you're not going to take the damage and then take the healing. It's just going to flat out play back and forth until either healing is greater or damage is greater, and you take whatever is higher at the end of that. So if you're playing something like Miracle Worker, if you Ray of Hope somebody and then you Holy Word Serenity them, or Serenity them 2 times, since you can have 2 charges, I mean that's guaranteed at least 1,000,000 healing. And since we have a bunch of talents on our artifact weapon and such that we can get more crit out of our Serenity, I mean you could probably heal somebody for like 2,000,000 in that. So they could be sitting at 1%. You can Ray of Hope them if you don't have Guardian Spirit available, double Serenity, and when that comes off, boom, they're full health. It's just a really strong cooldown. That's all the changes that I see and want to talk about today as far as Holy Priests go in PvP. Now, a reminder, this is just the first revision or the first build on the public test realm, so they may tweak some numbers or change some things around. So this is just current as of November 23rd, 2016. So whether they become viable, whether these changes go through or not, I guess we'll have to see. However, I'm really excited to test it out at least and see if we don't have a good viable spec again. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.